Yes.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming. My name is Benjamin, also known as Wings. Tonight we have a talk by Michael Collins. We have a few words to say before we get started with that. Tonight's talk is called Matrix in 2020. We'll start off by just quickly saying, so Plug is an independent group I've lost my words. Basically, we're a Linux and open source advocacy group, so we do regular talks on Linux and helping you learn Linux and open source. We have optional membership, so you can sign up and be a Plug member for $10 a year for concession or $20 a year for normal. If you are wondering whether you are eligible for concession, yes. We also have this space generously provided to us by SpaceCubed. So SpaceCubed is a co-working company. They have various spaces where you can do co-working, which if you're not familiar is essentially, bring your laptop, bring your gear, and they provide you with a nice distraction-free workspace and fast internet for you to get your stuff done. So they're really, really good to us. So if you're interested in that at all, please check out SpaceCube's website. The facility we're in right now is called RIF. Details and URLs over here, I guess. Other than that, we have various events coming up in the next couple of months, which would be very excited if you guys would be interested in coming along to those. So we have POSH, so Perth Open Source Hackers. There's a Plug and POSH hack afternoon happening on the 13th of September. I mean, you guys can see this. This
is our regular event schedule. We have the second Sunday of each month, we do a hack afternoon. This is the second Tuesday of the month where we'll usually do a talk or presentation here at SpaceCube or RIF, being the same venue, this venue. And every 2 months we do a plug in the pub. We go off to a different place, try to rotate a bit. We're going to the current bar in Yokai, Mount Hawthorne.
Yeah. So we do try to move Plug in the Pub around so that if you are in a different area of Perth that you might not necessarily be able to get to those events, we do move them around. So north, south, east, west of the city.
This one will be a Saturday the 19th for Software Freedom Day.
Yeah. If you guys are interested in finding out those events, obviously we are a meetup. We are also trying to cross-post our events to Facebook now, but you also can go to plug.org.au and look at our events page, and that is the master list of all events that we do. It is the first place that gets updated for any of those, so it's the best place to look.
It's a Google Calendar, you can subscribe to it.
Yeah. I guess that's probably it from me. So we'll introduce our speaker for the night, Mr. Michael Collins, who joins us from ChatOasis / Perth Chat / the other things. And I don't have the slide in front of me, but I would like to just quickly say that to acknowledge that we are meeting on the lands of the Wajik people, and to pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and to the continuing contribution they make to this land and society. So, cool.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Big thanks to Plug for having me. Oh, what's going on? Right. Yeah. We would also like to pay our respects to Julian Assange, Australia's greatest journalist, who was betrayed by his own country and offered up as a sacrifice to the US government. It's not really a joke. It's tough. In the next week, the UK courts will start to decide whether Julian will be extradited to the US. I would encourage everyone here, and everyone listening at home, to act. call, write an email, or a social media post, make sure you do something in the next week. Something is better than doing nothing. Always. I know it feels futile, but you should try anyway. You don't want to find yourself on the wrong side of history. Okay, let's begin. The rest of it will be more upbeat. Sweat. Okay. Hello, my name is Mike Collins. I am an advocate for free and open source communication systems that really let people own their own communications again. I am also the creator of PerthChat.org, Perth's #1 public matrix service. I am also an Australian journalist. I am also, there you go. I'm also an Australian journalist. I am also a software developer. I am also a comedian. I am also a black belt. And I am also a part owner of a new venture, which we'll be previewing at the end of this presentation. Okay. So here's what we got. We've got updates to Matrix since the last presentation. We also have news and moderation adventures of PerthChat.org. And we also have future plans for the Matrix network. And then finally we'll do the commercial timing. That's yeah, don't worry. Okay. Where do we begin? The internet sucks. It sucks. Let me talk about why it sucks. It's turning into a series of very, very large hierarchies with only a few owners. Zuckerberg pretty much owns 50% of the internet right now. That's kind of whack. Where's the antitrust laws? God only knows. Surveillance is rampant and unchecked. Most platforms you interface with online will try to vendor lock you somehow. However, they're going to get you, basically. What is Matrix? Matrix is not a product. It's not an app. It's not a company. And it's not a service. Matrix is an open protocol for secure and decentralized communication. It's an effective replacement for email. It's an effective replacement for the phone network. There's also an effective replacement for most collaboration tools you would use, like Discord or Slack. Anyone is free to create server or client software that conforms to the Matrix standard. So, just like with email, lots of people have different email server software and lots of people have different email clients. So Matrix is kind of like that, where anyone can just make their own server or client software for them. Matrix news. It's no longer called Riot. Riot is now Element. Why is that? Well, it's 2020 now, and there are too many, actual riots happening. So we decided to rebrand. That's cool. And we've got this, I don't know, it looks like a flower or something. Yeah. Sweet. What else has changed in Matrix? We now have mandatory TLS for federation. So when you create a server on Matrix, you cannot federate with other servers unless that traffic is encrypted with an SSL layer. Is everything all right? Yeah. Okay, sorry. Another big upgrade we've had is cross-signing. There's a few people here that were on Matrix in the good old days before cross-signing, where if you had 3 keys and your partner had 5 keys, that would basically mean you would need to compare 8 OLM fingerprints between you before you could verify each other's identity. You would have to compare 8 different numbers. It was bad. It was really unusable. But now we have cross-signing. So you can basically cross-sign your devices against each other, and the process for that is identical to verifying with anyone else. And if you have 2 or more, basically that means you only need to compare 1 key with the person you're talking to. You don't have to compare 5 keys, or 8 keys, or 10 keys, or whatever you got. Just one. It also means that if you have an array of devices and they're all cross-signed against each other, that basically constructs a web of trust. And if you have one of your devices where you log out and log back in, you can basically verify it with your previous devices to add that device to the web of trust. So the people you're talking to don't need to re-verify if you change one of your devices. Oh, it's so much better now. Yeah, don't even worry about how it worked before. It's way better. What else has been changed with the end-to-end encryption? Another really annoying thing that used to happen back in the day was you would jump on Matrix for the first time and you would try and message a friend in an encrypted room, and then it would spit tons of errors at you saying you have not verified this key, and it was just a nightmare. Nobody really knew how to navigate through it the first time. So now it's more like Signal or WhatsApp, where it just gives you a soft warning that you haven't verified with this party, and you're free to do it later, basically. You can start talking before the verification. That's incredibly handy for user adoption, basically. We also have emoji verification. So instead of comparing a key string, you can just compare emojis, which is a lot easier. We also have QR verification, just like you get on Signal or WhatsApp, where someone has a mobile device and they have a QR code, and you just scan that, and it tells you if the key is right, basically. What else has changed? The end-to-end encryption is no longer in beta. It was beta for a while, but we basically audited it, and it's good to go. After we found out it was good to go, we made it the default. So now if you start a one-to-one conversation with someone else on Matrix, it will be end-to-end encrypted by default. That's a nice upgrade. Cross-signing demo. One lucky contestant, we've already picked the lucky contestant's Wings. It'll show us how to, oh no, sorry, it's not Wings, it's Nick. Yes. Nick will show us how to verify. So let me go to the secret plug phrase room. If you're a plug member and you haven't been invited to this room, let us know. You can be invited to it. And there we go, here's Nick. So we see in the corner here, we see a bunch of green shields. I've already verified with my own devices, Wings, Nug, etc. Now we're going to verify with Nick. Ready, bud? Awesome. All right. So I'll click verify. Whoop. And in a few moments, you should see a prompt on his screen. Once the server's really lagging out.
Start verification.
Okay. Whoops. There we go.
I can still type in the meantime.
It is normally instantaneous, but we are fighting some Wi-Fi issues at the moment.
Oh no. Wi-Fi's working, right? Any luck yet?
Working-ish.
This is embarrassing. It usually works really smoothly like half the time, okay? Just give it a chance. Come on, Eric, what's going on? Yeah.
Maybe just reinitiate it. Just try again.
Oh, the lights came up. Verification canceled. Let's try one more time. Are people stressing the server for route to room presentation? Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, there we go.
What?
Was verify.
Yeah. Ah, there we go. Verifying by emojis. Comparing emojis. Is yours bicycle, dog, flower, pig, lion, fold a banana?
It is possible.
They match.
So by doing this, you can basically prove that the software on both ends hasn't been tampered with.
There's no man in the middle, basically, falsifying keys. You can be sure that your message is only going to be decrypted on your target's device and vice versa. And you can be sure of their identity, and you can be sure there's integrity, so the message you're supposed to receive is the one you're really supposed to receive. All that fun stuff.
So you would do this either in person or maybe over the phone, voicemail, voice, video chat, etc. And then once you've done that, you can then obviously verify other things as well.
Sweet, so now Nick's verified, so I can be sure my messages are going to where they are supposed to go to, and not to anyone else. Fun. What else have we had change with Matrix? We've had further integration of Jitsi into Element and Synapse. So we basically had a conferencing system in Matrix initially, but unfortunately the Matrix Foundation didn't have enough money, so we were forced to kind of integrate Jitsi with Synapse and Element and hopefully other Matrix clients really well. So how does it work? Your client, instead of just defaulting to jitsi.riot.net, How do we turn it back on? Okay. Oops. Technical issues, folks. Sorry.
The little thing at the bottom. Up at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then
Right, full screen.
It's not that. We gotta do that one more time. Okay, a little,
Choose the entire screen.
yeah.
And I need to remember this.
Right. Yeah. Still on? Sweet. What was I saying? Back in the old day, we had an inbuilt conferencing system, but we kind of depreciated it so that we could use Jitsi instead. Now, initially there was just one Jitsi server, and it was being run in France. The ping was really bad. Now your home server will direct you to whatever Jitsi instance you want to use. That's a lot better because you can run your Jitsi in your own area and you don't experience the lag. It's kind of like Discord where it mixes your voices at the server level, so like your latency to that is going to heavily affect how enjoyable the conference call is, how clear it is, how fast it is. And it's integrated to the point where if you have 3 or more people in a room, the client will bring up the Jitsi instance instead of doing a SRTP encrypted one-to-one web call. It's pretty neat. Jitsi demo.
And for those unfamiliar with Jitsi, it's for making like video calls and audio calls and so on. Yeah, think like Skype, except you control the servers in between you and the people you're talking to. Or someone you trust, rather, controls the servers.
Yeah.
Or your own servers.
Like you can do it with it from a different website, but
You could technically use any Jitsi instance you want. But,
yeah.
Yeah, it'll direct you to the one the server interfaces most
Yeah.
appropriate. Yeah. So let's give that a go. I'm going to press the video call button. Usually that would do a one-to-one call, but now it's spawned a Jitsi conference. And instead of having to open another window like we used to, it's nicely integrated into a widget. Woo. Is my camera shutter open? Yeah, it is. Sweet. Would you like to join me? You don't have to use the camera if you don't want to. Hello. Cool. So now me and Nick are in a conference call. Let's have a look at what options we have here. You can share your screen with the user. Raise log your hand. Let me close chat. How does subtitles work? Nick would like to speak. Can't speak. Mute, unmute yourself, leave the call, start the camera, double tile view, invite new people to it, which generates a link. Interestingly enough, if I use this link, it gives me a nice, let's do that. It gives me a nice link to my actual Jitsi instance on BlurHash. Strangely enough, if you press this up here, pop-out widget, it defaults to app.element.io. Uh-oh. We haven't really smoothed that out yet. But, yeah, what else? We got security options. Security options, yeah. All right, it's a password to limit to prevent unauthorized participants in this conference. Neat. So yeah, it's a Jitsi demo. You can now do conferencing inside any Matrix room, and it's pre-integrated. Let's jump back. Hey, that didn't break the blue button this time. Neat, all right. What else have we had new in Matrix? There are now MA1SD identity servers. Back in the good old days, there was just one identity server, and it was being run by the Matrix project, and it was kind of a big privacy F-up because you would put your email or your phone number into your Matrix account to try and add a third-party ID to it, and everyone in the world could basically look that up and associate it with you, and there was no control over it really, and all your data was going to one server in one place in the world. That's not really the idea of Matrix. Now it's better. We have self-hosted identity servers that you can easily integrate with your Matrix server. And it makes connecting existing on-premise identity stores easier. There's a few methods in Synapse already to do this, but apparently this is easy. We haven't played with it yet, but we'll give it a go. What else? It's federated. It's kind of like a DNS system where if you choose to, your identity through PIDs like your email or your phone number can be propagated throughout other identity servers. So other people can look you up more easily, or you can opt out of that and say, I only want to share my 3PIDs with people on this server, or you can say, I don't want to share it with anyone. I just want it to be a secret between me and the server. That's a lot better. That's a lot better than what we had before. We also have more home servers being run by famous groups. Firefox has a Matrix server now. Matrix, KDE, Debian. Probably want to join the Debian one, but it's developers only. So, but that's okay, because due to how Matrix works, you can basically make a BlurHash.org account and you can go hang out in the Debian rooms. It's all nicely integrated. We're also seeing a lot more projects reserving room addresses for themselves. And I honestly think we're seeing the whole network exponent, which is very exciting. The rate of adoption is increasing. Back when I did another talk in 2017, my advice was don't run a Matrix server. It is so painful and hard. You shouldn't be doing it. But in 2020, my advice is you should be getting a Matrix. It's become dramatically more efficient, and there are way better features, and it's just a lot more enjoyable in general. So if you want to make a Matrix server for yourself, or your company, or your organization, or something, now's a good time to do it. You've got my kind of crusty old guide on how to do it on Debian 10. All right. I think the span to leave Docker deploy setup method, that's probably the gold standard if you want to make your own Matrix server right now. It's very, very easy, and it's very, very powerful, and you basically have every single kind of bridge you could possibly imagine. You want to bridge your rooms to Discord, Slack, Facebook, tons of other places. All those tools are built into you, basically. They're just a part of the script already. So that's a good way to do it. Moving on. This city's favorite public Matrix server, perthchat.org. We have some updates with it. Let's begin. Perthchat's 3 years old. Woo! I'm surprised it's lasted this long. It's been migrated 4 times and I have managed to not break it yet. Right on. Right on. What else? It's been recently migrated to a UCC member server. So we basically have 50 times the upload. Before we had about enough upload, it's an NVMe connection. We had about enough upload for about 50 users before it slowed down. Now we can probably handle a few thousand before it starts to slow down. Extra storage. I was a bit worried about the storage back in 2017, but now we have an abundance of storage. We also have our own Jitsi, as did an address. We also have our own MA1SD identity server, so you don't have to rely on a centralized one. We also have moderation rules. Like a giant advertising thing. But that's the term they use. So, here's my dream for PerthChat. We are currently mirrored to Perth Discord. I would like to find other Perth communities that are interested in mirroring their community with ours. So you can basically have a room, all your rooms or whatever platform you're using, they can be mirrored on Matrix, so they exist in 2 places at once, and then participants from both communities can interact with each other through the bridge, basically. So if you are another Perth community out there that wants to bridge with us, consider it. And some people may be thinking, oh, I'd rather set up my own Matrix server and put the rooms on there and bridge those so my rooms aren't on your server. But the thing you got to understand about Matrix is rooms don't exist on servers. They're technically decentralized records, and the portal. You can list a room on many Matrix servers. If you have admin accounts at perthchat.org, and you do make your own Matrix server later on, we can demote those perthchat accounts and promote your accounts so you have like proper control of the room after that point. What else can we promise you? We can promise you, our moderation standards are kind of lax, but whatever your moderation standards are, we can basically conform to them while you're bridged with us for your rooms. Yeah, so consider it. Whoop. Okay, now moving on to the future of Matrix, the stuff that's coming up. So, P2P Matrix, a peer-to-peer implementation of Matrix, where basically you can have a client that also acts as a server, like a temporary server, and people you know can hop on and they can interface through the Matrix using that temporary server, basically, or maybe it's not temporary, maybe you want to run it a bit longer. If your internet's been cut, if you're in a part of the world where the government's trying to cut your internet off, this can be particularly handy because you can basically have like a mesh network, and only one node of that mesh network is actually connected to the outside internet. That person can act as the server, the rest of you people can jump on, and you can basically message through and circumvent that censorship with it, which is cool. I have worries about P2P Matrix. I kind of feel like it's going to enable patrols where they've never been enabled, where they can just spin up new servers at their whim and dump around ACL bans, which prevents certain bad servers from interacting with rooms. Let's see how it goes. Here's basically P2P Matrix 0.0.1, where they've gotten Riot Web and they've stuck the new Dendrite server software inside it, and it's basically acting as a server. You can try it out at this URL. I don't even understand half the stuff in this image, but yeah, that's kind of how it works. We're also going to have easier migration of Matrix identities. You create an account on a server, you're kind of wondering, oh, I would move over to this other server that I like more, but it's just a pain having to recreate my keys, rejoin all the rooms I'm in, rejoin all the one-to-one conversations that I'm in. That won't be a thing in the future. You'll just be able to point at the server you want to go to, and your account will basically be migrated to there really smoothly. And you'll maintain your keys, and you'll maintain the rooms you're in. And it should be possible even if the server you're migrating from is offline. And so here's the interesting thing. You'll be able to set a primary and a backup home server. So if your primary server goes down for a set amount of time, you will be automatically migrated to your backup server. So you won't lose access at all. You'll keep running. This is cool. We have decentralized rooms, but now we have decentralized identities. Wonderful. What else? Dendrite is finally almost nearly ready to go to the base stage. I said it was coming 3 years ago. It's still coming.
Alternate server.
Yeah, it's an alternative server software. So you use Synapse initially, but Synapse is a little bit inefficient, although these days it's actually a lot more efficient, and you can scale Synapse horizontally. With Dendrite, you won't need to do that. It'll be nice and horizontally scalable out of the box, which is neat. I don't think this is actually the closest software to being the next usable server software, though. Was it Construct? Yeah. Construct, which is written in C++, is already in beta stage, so it's closer to being actually used, and there are a few Construct servers already up and running and federating successfully with Synapse servers. We're going to have Matrix URI support. If you've ever tried to share a link to an event on Matrix, it's a bit of a pain because you end up going to this matrix.to site, and it guides people to install a server for the first time. With some clients, it'll navigate through that to the actual event that you want to look at, but with some clients it doesn't. It's not that neat. Matrix URIs will basically provide a native way for you to say, hey, look at this event in this room, and if that person already has a client, they'll just be navigated to it automatically. Yeah. That's a lot better than leaning on matrix.to. There's a pull request if you want to check that out. What else are we going to have? We're also going to have BlurHash in media events. BlurHash is a compact representation of a placeholder for an image or video. Currently in Matrix, you need to wait for the server you're connected to feed you a thumbnail. That can take a few seconds, which is a bit slow. With the BlurHash, it'll basically give you like a preview. And you'll see the output of the BlurHash first, and then your thumbnail will be loaded in 2 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever it takes later. And it'll make the process of viewing previews for images and links and so on, videos, a lot quicker. So it'll just happen instantly because that BlurHash gets passed with the event. That's going to be it. What else? That's it. Future proposals. Check out the proposals to the spec. Lots of more cool stuff coming up. And moving on to the commercialized part of the presentation, we are starting a new venture. What is it? ChatOasis, the limited liability company. It will be a matrix hosting company targeting businesses and public organizations. We'll have open infrastructure that's licensed under the AGLPB3 license, and our goal with it is to lower the barrier to running your own matrix hosting company, so you don't have to recreate all the infrastructure tools for yourself. You can just copy us, and it'll basically be an open source alternative to modular element hosting, whatever you want to call it. If you think this is cool, feel free to follow us on GitLab. You can see it being made, basically. How it's going to work? Check this slide. We're going to have an AWX tower. What that basically is, it's like it's a control tower that uses Ansible, the automation language, and it will basically help you manage entire fleets of matrix servers. It will simplify configuration, updates, backups, moderation, and more. It will also have an API that allows you to connect a commercial front end to it, so you can start your own matrix hosting company a lot easier, basically. That'll be fun. We are hiring. Element's hiring. We're hiring too, okay? Are you a tech-savvy lawyer who specializes in any of the following? GDPR law or Australian law? If you're a lawyer that's familiar with GDPR law, that's great. You can help us make our product compatible with GDPR legislation. If you're an Australian lawyer, that's also great. You can help us open up class action lawsuits against sectors of Australian society that should probably be using end-to-end encryption, like the legal field and the medical field. We need you. Consider contacting us for a chance to be a shareholder and a board member. Think about it. You have a substantial share of this company. Sue people, so it gets mandated in society where the only people selling this technology, what happens then, right? Kaboom! Money! No. Yeah, contact us if you think that's a neat idea. Oh, also, privacy and free software advocates only. We're probably not a lawyer, but we're looking for a special one, basically. Other ways you can help us out. If you're a developer who thinks this is a neat idea, feel free to reach out to us. We can use all the help we can get. If you're an investor, also feel free to reach out to us. We don't exactly need startup funds, but hey, maybe you want to write me a check anyway, right? Look at the interest rate. It's pretty low. You might as well give me money to me. Yeah? Feel free to email us as well. Well, that's about it, really. Matrix in 2020. Thanks for coming. I'll see you all again in 6 months for my upcoming Joe Rogan interview. Or if I have to settle, my Tim Dillon interview. Thanks. So join us on Matrix for more privacy, more security, more fun, more Nazis, more action, more adventure, and more community spirit. Thanks for watching Matrix in 2020. Bye.
obviously we've heard sort of the history of ProChat and a lot of the stuff that's happening with Matrix, but I just wanted to emphasize what is being built in the form of Matrix is something that's very exciting, and perhaps the most exciting thing is how little you'll have to care about the underlying details soon. So it's already to the point where you can join a Matrix server and have a really great experience and have privacy and encryption, data sovereignty, all these great things. So if you're interested at all in Matrix, definitely sign up to like Perth Chat if you want. You can sign up to the official Matrix home server. It's all good. You can migrate around later.
Another popular Perth server is javawalk.net. Shout out to javawalk.net. It's kind of like our sibling server. It's a good one too.
But it's only going to get better. So, you know, right now it's comparable in terms of usability to something like Discord. You know, it could use a bit more polish and so on, but like, you know, things like Signal and WhatsApp has sort of taken the easy way out and doesn't solve a lot of the stuff that Matrix actually solves. And so, you know, it's been a long road. There's been a lot of tooling and development needed to get Matrix to where it is today, but it's just going to get better and better and better. So definitely do check it out. It's probably my favorite way to do communication nowadays, and if not Matrix, something like it is very likely to be the future of communication, and right now Matrix doesn't really have any good competitors, so it probably will be Matrix. Just my 2 cents. Thanks very much to Michael for the talk. Thank you all very much for coming and hearing the talk, and you know, checking out Plug and this kind of stuff we do. So thanks very much for coming.
Thank you. Yeah, anyone have questions? No questions. Okay, wow. Must have done a really good job explaining it.
Michael, when you said like that Debian server Matrix was only for devs, but you could link and then hang out there, you couldn't post, but you could view. Is that the?
The way Matrix works, like if you have a room on perthchat.org, you don't need to be using perthchat.org to interface with it. You can be using any Matrix server, and you can basically join the rooms on our server. Yeah, so basically the rooms on Debian Social, you can browse all of those from any Matrix server, you can join them, and you can PM people on that server. It's all nicely decentralized and connected, basically.
Think of it like email.
Yeah, it's kind of like email. So you can email someone on another email server, right? Obviously.
It's a lot. It's like email, but if you also had a sort of layer of being able to like find someone's email, they can choose how to publish their Matrix identity in a way that you can find, or as you mentioned, they can also choose not to publish their identity. And so that sort of applies to rooms as well. As you know, you can find lists of rooms on different servers, you can find lists of people, etc. But there's also the option to sort of limit that. So, you know, some servers choose not to federate with other servers. There are servers out there that have abusive content, and you can essentially, as a server owner, decide that you don't want to actually federate with those servers. You have a lot of power over how things work. So it does come with challenges, being that it is an actual decentralized federated network. But as I said, you know, in the long run, it will probably start to really overtake other things. Like Signal's a great product for like one-to-one communication and to some extent for group chats. But Signal is still a very centralized service, and you're still relying on a lot of different people in order to have your privacy and your security. Whereas with Matrix, you can have not only your own open source client that you can verify, but you can also have your own server that you can verify, or someone else's server that you can verify. It's a lot closer to true freedom and sovereignty than pretty much any other product out there.
And the point I would add is Signal received a gag order from the US government back in like 2015. I have not received a gag order. I'm free to still run my mouth. So, yeah. What you say? Do you have anything else?
I mean, no.
Get on it. It's good. Make your own Matrix server or your own account today. Thanks. How's it going, everyone?
Feel free to stick around and chat. I think we're still here till or 5 already. Yeah, I think we're still